Welcome to the Everyday Magic Podcast. I'm Anya Rock.
And I'm Dr. Sophia Trivena.
We've been best friends for 25 years, united by the belief that no matter what life throws at us, we can always find the magic. Join us every week as we dive into our most intimate conversations about sex, money, intuition, and building our company, Sofanya, a merger of our names and the best of us. Yes. Well, speaking of which.
Yes, I've had my own adventures.
Tell us about.
I have so many. Well, that's so many. It's a very beautiful story. Similar. Mine takes place in a very different place, New York. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting to listen to this story from you and think about the experience I just had, because there's many things of entwinement, of intuition leading me on an adventure that took me to New York. And interestingly, I'm going to just go backwards and say, you know how you wish for your daughter that she had this understanding of her own pleasure and knew what sacredness was? I am that person. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know that I've ever been able to articulate it, but I remember feeling aroused when I was like 5, 7, 9, and I knew it was sacred. And I somehow had the energy. And I think my dad, who raised me since I was 4 or 5, and when my mom left my biological father, she remarried and was with my dad, who raised me. And so they were really, really in love, and I was in their love field. And it was a very touchy, feely, open love field. Definitely had its problems, but I think I felt it, and I felt what a real, true, loving love field felt like. And we had a lot of family closeness because we only had a really small home with only a few rooms. So like, we didn't have a living room. We watched TV on the bed with my parents. So the 4 of us all were a cuddle puddle. And my sister and I shared a room. There was just a lot of physical closeness, and a lot of like, my parents would always sit together and they'd always be touching each other. I think there was just a lot of that energy. I remember being in Guatemala and meeting this man and us, kissing on my hammock, and these 2 cats came and started licking each other around them. And then like when they were around us, and then when he left, they didn't do that. I'm like, we feel the field of things around it, and we can feel like, so I feel like there was a love field around me that knew sort of naturally that what was the beautiful. And then I had the verbal, thing of my parents saying, if you ever don't want anyone to touch you, you tell them no. And if anyone ever looks at you or touches you in a way you don't want, that's not okay. And you go tell, it's not your fault. You go tell an adult if you feel in any way bad. So they gave us this permission to like own our space and our bodies, and to not let anything happen that we didn't want to have happen. And they reinforced it often. As in, I remember my sister was twirling in the playground so that boys could see her skirt. She didn't know that's why they wanted her to twirl. And I remember my dad seeing this and being like, yelling at the boys. And we got home, and he had each one of us stand up, and he's like, okay, now you say after me, no boys, no. And he had to point our finger and point at them, no boys, no. Okay, now it's your turn. And you watch your sister. And if you ever see me, say, no boys, no. So we were like really trained that it was okay, right? And my dad also was really encouraging of us having boyfriends and everything. So like, I remember getting in trouble for something in grade 9, and I was late, and I kind of broke down crying, and I said, but there's this boy, and he came by where I was, and he wanted to talk, and I wanted to talk to him at school, but he'll never talk to me at school. But we were at the football game, and he wanted to talk, so I didn't want to leave. And he was like, I didn't know you were falling in love. Okay, I understand. I mean, if it's for that kind of reason, you do have to go with that. If you're having a moment with someone, that is special. Like, right?
Go on the journey.
Yeah, and then right? And so, I had the same boyfriend for a number of years who really, really adored me. And I think the first year we just kissed and made out a lot. And then on his birthday, he went up my top. And then we spent a whole year of him just exploring that way. No top off or anything, but so much kissing and exploring and literally breast worship. And I loved it, and he loved it. And then on the next birthday, I went down on him, and it was the first time I'd ever done that. And we spent a whole year doing that. So now we had these 2 things. And then like the next year was the first year we got naked, but we never had sex, and we just explored everything you could without having sex. And so it was 3 years of continual exploration with the most adoring, loving person. And it just was beautiful. So I had a lot of really beautiful, slow, sensual experiences. Like, I remember we would watch a TV show on a Sunday night, and he would just explore me for like 2 TV shows before I turned and kissed him. You know what I mean? Like, it was all of this slow, sensual.
With the TV on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But it was like this, just like so much focus on the sensation, and so slow and so connected. And I think the hardest part for me, and I remember you saying this after you got divorced and you were starting to discover all of this. You said, I said, did you not know it could be like this? And you were like, if I knew, I would have been seeking it. And I was like, wow. So, and I said that it really made me want to cry, because there's another world of pain to know that it's possible, but never quite be with someone who can really meet you there. And that is my journey. I've rarely been with the partner that can really keep that place in that space and make it a sacred ritual to the extent that I can. And to them, it's like, we don't have time. And I'm like, I actually am running way more things. I'm able to do all of this, like write books and teach classes and have 3 businesses. And I still have hours for making love every day because it's a priority to me. So I just feel like you're awakening to these possibilities. I am been living in these possibilities for 35 years, still waiting to be met. And I don't know what it takes to be met here, but it often is a lot of teaching and explaining and inviting. And I've been wondering, is there someone I just show up and they already are naturally like this? And we just fall into that space without me having to sort of invite and guide it. So it's like my biggest inquiry. And okay, so this leads me back to my New York trip. So all of this preface to say that I had my own journey of intuition, which was that our PR agent, Donna Jarvis, who's amazing, she was looking for synergies of my latest book, The Power of the Divine Feminine in Business. And she found a conference in New York that was in Times Square that was, the tagline was The Power of the Divine Feminine in Business. It was a Divine Feminine Leadership Conference for Women's Day. And it was just like 10 days away. And I was like, do I, last minute flights, last minute hotel is going to be expensive. Is it really worth it? And I said, it was a certain amount of money. And I was like, if somehow that money shows up, I'm just going to take it within the next, by Friday. On Thursday, I found out that I got insurance money for exactly that amount from evacuating for the fires, which I didn't even know I had. So I was like, this is the exact amount and I can't not go. So I booked a hotel, but something didn't feel right about it. And I ran into someone at a swimming pool and I said, and I knew he knew because he was going to the Oscars and he knows, and he was just like, go and stay at this hotel. This is the place to stay. So I get there to the hotel, I go on the trip. And when I get to the hotel, I walk in and I'm like, this is really interesting. It's not my type of hotel. There's a lot of masculine, but it was a man that told me about it. But I was like, I wouldn't really choose this. We would choose something more really goddessy, etc. But I was like, there's something nice about being in the space of the masculine, which I haven't been in a while. And when I was lying in bed that night, I was like, even though it's not my style, there's like a lot of leathery things and black metal things, and but there's something that's holding me. I feel held, and so it felt really interesting and really, really good. And I went and had the event. It was spectacular. And when I told this story, but when I got to the event, I realized I hadn't brought roses. And here we have our roses behind us because rose is the symbol of the divine feminine. And it is the highest frequency vibration of anything on earth. So I was like, I forgot to get roses for the table where I'm going to be doing book signing. And I just felt bare to not have roses by the book signing. And so, but I was in Times Square at rush hour and had no idea where I could get roses. And it was time to set up before the event begins. And I got really neutral and I felt in and I was like, what do I feel if I don't get the roses? And I just felt this really sickening collapse, like bigger than getting roses or not getting roses should feel. Like the way you felt like, should I get on that flight or that flight? Why does this one feel so much better and the other one feels so much worse? Why should getting roses be this big of a deal? But I could feel that it was, and I needed to go get these roses. So I went out and I didn't have my phone because I had no charge for some reason. So they were charging it behind the desk. So I had to go into Times Square with no phone and find my way back, which, I could say the hotel name. So I knew I could find my way back, but still it wasn't going to be quick and easy. So I ended up finding roses, and it was a ways away, but I kept following intuition, and I got there, and it was pushing the time, and it was windy and cold, But I got back, and just as I got back, all the speakers arrived, and we all got in the elevator together. And because of that, I met everyone in this really fun elevator. We're all arriving together as a team. And I was like, oh, that timing was perfect. If I hadn't got the roses, I just would have been sitting there by myself setting up. So that was wonderful. And then while I was setting up, I put my purse at a great table to see all the speakers. And then I realized it was the wrong table, and I got bumped the last minute to the back corner, and I couldn't barely see. And I was like, okay. Long story short is, after I left the conference, a woman wrote me and said, I knew that I was supposed to meet with you. Lady Luck put us on the same elevator when I arrived, and then at the last minute you arrived at my table. And when you came into my path twice, I knew I had to invite you and your business partner, Anya and Sofanya, to be featured in my magazine. So again, right? Following the intuition brought to this random thing. So beautiful night. I get invited by so many people to do things on the Saturday, the one free day I have in New York. And I keep getting not to. I keep getting to say, turn down wonderful invitations to wonderful places, to meet amazing people. And I just keep getting, I need to have my own free day. I need to have my own free day. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what does this free day in New York look like? And I see me booking at a spa, and I look at all the places on the map, and I book that one, and I'm like, no, it can't be that one. So I call all these other ones, nothing's free. And the one that the angels had showed me from the beginning, the one I kind of wanted, like didn't have interest for a few reasons, I end up being the only place I can go. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I have to follow intuition and go there. So I book it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to a really nice gym, or the gym where I booked the massage. And I get, no, go to my gym, like the gym, which is like 20 feet by 15 feet, little tiny. I mean, it's a really tiny gym. And I go there, and I'm there for about 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, this man comes walking in, and I almost fall over. He's like so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, there's two of us in this 20-foot gym right now, the only two people in this gym. And so we're working out, and I realize, oh, like he's feeling me, I'm feeling him. There's like, the room is getting warmer and warmer and warmer. He's like lifting weights over his head, looking in the mirror, and I'm behind him doing yoga. It's just every single angle is a different angle of his muscles. It's just like this is ridiculous. And I'm on this bit of this journey because I just finished this book, The Power of the Divine Feminine and Intimacy. And it so breaks down all of the rules that keep us from just following the energy of pleasure. And I stand for following the energy of pleasure. And I'm like, well, what would my energy of pleasure want to do? And I was like, literally, I just want to walk over and kiss him. And every time I walk by him, I want to touch him. And every time I walk by him, I want to find a new way to touch him and kiss him. Like, that's what I want to do. And then I really try on, what if I just did that?
Yeah.
And you know what stopped me?
What?
Two things. In all my decades of experience with men, I have absolute confidence to approach them, etc. My experience is, when I do, it's like it diminishes something. Like, I don't know if it breaks a societal code, or if they don't have the confidence to do it, then they don't have the confidence to actually be with me, or something. There's something that has never worked once. And when I ask the angels after, I'm like, why didn't that work out? They're like, you approached him first. And I'm like, but what's the problem with that? And it's not ever desperate or anything. It's just that I feel this, so why would I not follow it? And they were like, the feminine is the attractor, and like there's the receptive, and let the masculine come, like be the flower and let the bee come to you. And so that's been my guidance. So I was like, okay, I just have to do that because it's never worked otherwise. So that was one reason. And the second reason was, what is he going to deem me as if I do that? And I had this feeling that whatever he experiences me as for doing that is not who I am. And there's going to be a misrepresentation, whether it's true or not. That's what I felt.
Okay.
He would decide something about me that wasn't true. Whether that's programming or true, I have no idea. But those are the two reasons that I was like, I'm clearly not going to follow this energy. But why do we live in a world where we just can't follow energy? Like, so then I was like, well, the hour is up that I can't find anything else to work out. It's just, I'm just going to leave and go to the spa. So I go to walk to get my things, and at that moment he pulls out the rope. Like, I didn't know he was going to do this move that stepped right in my path. And he turns, and I'm like standing right there.
You're like, hello, muscles.
I'm like, I'm so sorry, I just have to get my things from over there. And he says, no problem. And he has a really thick accent. And I'm like, whoop. As you know, I love a foreigner. I love someone that has a context elsewhere. I just do.
Right, yeah.
And so I was like, I look at him, and we both say in the same moment, where are you from? And he says where he's from. He says Croatia, and I say Canada. And what are you doing here? And I say I have a book signing, and he says, and I just feel like it's kind of glamorous. Like I had this book signing in Times Square last night, and he's like, I have a business that we have a place in, like a business in one place in Europe, and now we're talking about opening one in New York. And then we talk about we're both engineers, we're both entrepreneurs, why we chose this hotel, synchronicities, how we both ended up in this place at the same time. And then he says, I'm so sorry I was staring at you so much. You're so beautiful. And I was like, same. I just thought every angle I got to see you was just a gift. And he's like, I felt exactly the same. And he was like, when do you leave? And I said, tomorrow. And I said, when do you leave? He said, 6 p.m. today. And it was noon. And I was like, oh, too bad you're not staying longer. And he's like, why don't we get coffee? And so we went and had coffee, and for like an hour, he asked me the most fascinating questions. Like, what is your book about? What is that? What is the dance of masculine and feminine? What does it look like when it's not working? What does it look like when it's not working in your life? Why haven't you found your person? What are the things that you come up against? And we both had all the same worldview answers, every single thing. I talked all about the angels. He's like, are they part of religion for you? I'm like, I never had religion. I'm like, where does religion stand in your life? He's like, it's a cultural belonging, but it's not my connection with the divine. And I said, it's not part of my cultural belonging. And I do have that connection with the divine. And he said, entirely without religion. And I was like, entirely without religion. And he's like, that's so beautiful. Tell me about that. And he said, well, every morning I wake up and I feel the angels and I feel their arms around me. And he was like, I feel that too. And so we just had this beautiful conversation. And then we decided that we were going to go somewhere else, and I was going to get my coat. And he decides to come up to my hotel room with me to get my coat. And I was like, well,
did you ever leave the hotel room?
Only when he had to go to the airport. Yeah. And it was just beautiful. It was so natural and so beautiful. And it was just like hanging out for longer. And then it was just, he reached out and kissed me. And it was the most beautiful kiss. And the most wonderful thing is he pulled me onto his lap and he put his arms around me and he held me like so firmly. And I've never had this experience before. And he said, do you feel safe? And I was like, wow, I have never had a man ever like hold me from the first moment he met me and make sure that before anything more happens, I feel safe. Like from the beginning, not earned after because now you're my girlfriend, not because there's some rules or role that you're playing, but in this moment of connection as a man, I'm drawn to ensure you feel this way. And I literally like melted and I got teary-eyed and was almost mourning like, I've never had this and I'm 51 years old. This should always be like this.
Same way I felt with like, why haven't we been asking pussy all along?
Why haven't we made sure we feel safe in his arms first?
Beautiful.
It was so beautiful. And we ended up having a beautiful, kissing and touching and staring in each other's eyes, so much deep eye staring. And then I was like, okay, can we take a moment to just like check in with each other? And he's like, sure. And he got back on the chair and like, I was sitting on the bed and I was like, really, how much time do you have? And he's like, an hour. And I said, what do you want to do? And he's like, what do you desire? And he said, what do you desire?
Magic words.
And I was like, let me check in. I actually don't know, right? There's no formula. There's no performance. Like, what do I desire? And he's leaving to go back to Europe and I'm leaving to go back to California. And I'm feeling this is a one-time experience, quite likely. And so I'm like, I really want to make love. And for me, we only have an hour and it has to go really sensual and slow. And for me, this is what it means. It means that we keep this eye gazing and we keep a sensual touch. And as we explore, there's got to be an invitation that's really, really slow where once you're touching me, if you feel any resistance or tightness, you don't go further. And then soon as there's more opening, then you go more. And I'll let you know and I'll tell you as well. And also you'll feel it. And if you're open to that kind of exploration, I'd like to make love and we have an hour for that. And he was like, no, I'm totally in. Absolutely. Yeah. And we proceeded to do just that. And we eye gazed the whole time. And we were whispering in each other's ears. He's like, I feel so at home with you. I've never felt so safe. And I was like, me too. It feels so beautiful. And he was like, I would just love this to last forever. I'm like, me too. And it was not about making me his girlfriend. It was just because it felt true. It was just so, so beautiful. And it was an hour. We made it happen in an hour. It was perfect and beautiful. And then he had to go. And he was like, you are so beautiful inside and out. I definitely want to see you again. And I was like, that would be wonderful. You have my number. We'll see. I mean, I just really felt like there's no chance really. But I was like, I'm open and we'll see where life takes us. But the next day he messaged with pictures from where he was and told me how, like, long thing of how beautiful it was. And I was still going to let it go. And then I was talking to the goddess you met on the airplane, who's now our investor. And we were talking about something else. And I told her the story. And I said, so I'm just letting it go, of course, because we live in literally the opposite side of the world. And she's like, no. And I was like, what do you mean, no? She's like, he messaged you. Like, have you messaged him back? He sounds like he sent you something lengthy. And I'm like, well, I just said thank you, whatever. And she's like, why don't you message him something about your world? And I said, okay, I guess I could take a picture. I did a video at the gym and a little selfie at the gym. And I said, the last time I was in the gym, I can't help but remember. And it was a really beautiful experience. Thank you so much. And he saw the picture. He's like, you're so beautiful. I've been thinking about it a lot. And then I was like, I could let it go now, or I could say more. And I was like, what have you been thinking about? And he gives me a long list, gazing in your eyes, being entwined with you and all these physicians, hearing you whisper in my ear, but mostly holding you in my arms and hearing that you felt safe. And he said, I'd love to hear what you were thinking about. And so I let him know, gazing in your eyes, especially when you had your arms around me, I melted. And he wrote back and he was like, that moment where you were in my arms, he's like, that was the moment. And he put that, and I said, it really, really was. And then so now we've been messaging. And the last message, just as we were filming, the last thing I saw him say was, I am definitely going to see you again, ... And then we started filming this. So
beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I mean, I guess what's alive for me most is, it just seems I have these experiences and I have these beautiful things, but they've lasted a moment or a week or a few months. Like, what would it be like to have an immersive partner where you can really take it somewhere? Like, you got to have this experience in Costa Rica. I've had many of these experiences. When does it actually, like, I don't know how much I can explore at this depth and length. Like, it just really feels like the real final frontier that would be to take 35 years of these experiences that started in high school and all that I've learned about my own, what do you call it, your erotic map?
Yeah, erotic blueprint.
I feel like I've got my erotic blueprint pretty well as far as you can go, with hundreds of experiences from many different types of beautiful men that are willing to hold the experience very sacred. Like, I've actually been gifted with that. And I've never been with someone that can turn that into the context of a multidimensional relationship with, other parts of the relationship brought into it, and for it to have some sort of longevity. And the interesting thing is, this man said the same. He said, I've had pieces of it from different people. I've never had it in one person that shares worldview and this much chemistry and the entrepreneurial spirit and that, like, all the things. And I said, yeah, me too. So we're both recognizing that, and we live really, really far apart. And
I'm proud of you for just keeping it open.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you were just going to let it go, let it be. And now it's like,
why am I letting it go?
Right.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, it's a North Star.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how that could possibly happen, but all of the world could rearrange.
Right.
And we don't know.
Right.
So and just keep the connection and enjoy it.
And interestingly, when I came home and I was going to let it go, the night felt so empty. And it wasn't even empty of him. It just felt empty. I felt like out of flow. I felt like something's missing or wrong. And soon as I opened to him again, the rush in of the feeling of being held came in. And I'm like, why am I pushing away a man that wants to energetically hold me? Like, that can only be a vibration that I
get on an airplane whenever he needs to.
Fair. And I also propose that me feeling that is for me.
Yeah.
It might not be an us thing.
Right.
Like, as in, we just went to your future experience where you get to feel what you would feel if your cup was overflowing. I'm getting to feel that right now because of this actual person. And if he turned to me and said, I met a woman just like you because I was holding the vibration of how you held me, and she's here and I'd be amazing. That's great. I'm glad that you didn't cut off this energy and you kept it, and it vibrated you to a like vibration that's in your realm. And same for me. So I never know if, like, this, I call them a calibrator. Someone comes along and gives you a vibrational experience. It could be a song. It could be another couple you see. It could be someone you have a moment with. And we cut it off because it's not this or that.
Right.
But if you can keep that vibration, you can call it in your way. So it could be that, or he might be on a plane. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty. That's the mystery. But I love that you made a different choice.
What's the different choice you heard?
Staying open, keeping it open. I think you were just like, well, we'll let that go. That was that. It's a New York moment. But interestingly, you were singing everything can change in a New York moment.
I actually was filming myself in the gym to post when he walked in the door with that song in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether he's a calibrator for your next experience.
Yeah.
Or who knows.
Right.
How time and space can rearrange.
Right. I mean, literally the last words he texted me before we sat down to talk was, I'm definitely going to see you again.
Where is he opening his office?
In New York. And he said he might be coming to LA in April, thinking about an LA office too.
Right. I mean, you can hop on a plane anytime too.
Right.
New York, you've often talked about being in New York. Like,
well, goddess, I will tell you, this hotel that the angels guided me to for this spa experience, next level. So I ended up, he leaves.
You did go to the spa, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. He left. I went downstairs and had a glorious brunch, feeling fantastic.
Right. In your turn on.
Oh my gosh. I was, yes.
I was a woman who's been worshipped for an hour.
Oh yes, there was a glow.
Yes,
there was a glow. The whole restaurant was a flame.
Right. Noted, right? Mm-hmm. We should note that. Like when we are in that energy, it's like, why is everything working out for me? Why is everything it seems to be in flow? Everyone is smiling at me. Like I'm in my turn on.
Totally. Yes, I love this. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And the angels told me before that a woman in her fully expressed glory only brings more fully expressed glory. Mm-hmm. So we're really meant to be just glowing post-orgasm, feeling so fulfilled, so honored, so cherished. I felt so precious, held, sacred, seen, adored, worshipped in every way, in every way imaginable. And in every way imaginable is so, so, so beautiful.
And I got the text. You're like, found a European lover, had a beautiful brunch. And I was like, you're a legend.
You literally texted, how's your day, goddess? And I said, oh my gosh, I had a beautiful journey with a European lover. He went for a beautiful brunch and now I'm at the spa. So the next time we stay, we have to go to this hotel. It has a co-ed spa. So if I ever want to meet up with him partway, I think we just go back to this hotel because they give you robes and there's an ice room with like a big snow pile in the center with all this like wallpaper of like a snowy forest. And there's chairs around there for the cold. And then you go into the wet sauna. There's the dry sauna. There's lounge chairs. And then I had a massage. It was one of the best massages of my entire life. And then a salt room where they do compression things on your legs while you're in a gravity chair. Okay, so that's where we need to go. And then I went up to the rooftop, which is floor-to-ceiling glass, looking out over the whole city skyline, where I had a beautiful dinner, where I was fully catered to in every single way. And then I went back to the hotel I was at, and the jazz bar was happening. I sat at the bar. I met all these people from all walks of life, had great conversation. I had a centimeter of a glass of wine.
Wow.
You've never even seen it.
We're talking in centimeters now.
As in not usually, what would I do with a glass of wine? I would smell it.
Yeah.
A smell is enough. I actually sat and enjoyed sips of wine with strangers at a jazz bar. The drummer from the jazz band was Canadian. I was like, my dad's a jazz drummer from Canada. We started talking, people we might know. I mean, it was
beautiful.
It was a New York day. That was my glorious day.
I love this for you.
Me too. What do you love about it for me?
I just love that you received everything New York had for you. You've been talking about New York, knowing there's something for you in New York, that a door opens for you in New York.
Do you know that I forgot? I remember that before I went, but not once while I was there did I think about how much I've been seeing in New York. I've been telling you, I keep seeing there's a New York, something that happens in New York. That's true. I forgot about that. I've been seeing that for years. And I knew it before I went and when I was booking the trip, but I forgot all about it to this moment.
Yeah. And I just love that you experienced it fully.
I did. And
just enjoyed and absolutely reveled in everything, being held in the masculine by the hotel, by this man.
Yes.
Being in the divine feminine expression of your work and your writing and with these other women.
Yeah, and all the synchronicities.
Representing Sophanya at its first
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh, when I was singing in the audience and the hostess of the evening came out and she's like, I'd like to thank some very special sponsors. Sofanya Beauty has brought I was just like, oh my God, it's the first time I've heard the name of our company announced, all these women, and our summary that I had written with her, with the woman that hosted. I'm like, we worked on a summary of the company. It was our first branded, sponsored, it was really, really wonderful. And I had a magazine that I made that summarizes us with on the front, the power of the divine feminine business, with you and I walking with not now, when, if not you, who, like, let's do this. And I showed it to a few women and their jaw just dropped. And I was like, wow, like these, women leaders from across the country are getting really wowed by what you and I put together. And it was like, we've been in our world creating it and we know it's beautiful, and everyone that gets to experience it is just 1 degree from us. But to have these absolute total strangers just get it immediately and get tears in their eyes, feeling the beauty of what it is and what we stand for. Oh, there's nothing like it. And women saying, can I have one? Actually, can I have 2? I need to show a friend. Like, oh, it was a glorious moment. I wanted you by my side, Goddess. And they really want you to come and speak on that stage next year. And I think we should get a whole Sofanya table.
If I'd been with you in that tiny little gym, you might not have had that moment.
You were not meant to come with me to that.
I was not meant to be there.
Yes. And I'm glad that man suggested, of all the hotels, I ended up in the one where this man was.
Beautiful.
So many synchronicities brought so many things, and so much surrendering in the erotic flow of the awakened desire, taking us to investors and magazine articles and recognition and
pleasure partners.
Oh my God, this man is a pleasure partner.
I know you were telling me the story last night. You're like, I could take my sweater off. It's hot in here.
I'm just like,
Yes.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. Yeah, really, really, really beautiful. In a New York minute, everything can change. Well, is that a good place to leave this one? We covered sex. We covered business, synchronicities.
Sacred sex, sacred business, intuition.
I've been wondering if we should change our tagline from sex, money, and intuition to sacred sex, sacred money, sacred intuition.
Nope.
And why is that?
Because I think it's all sacred without saying it. I think we own that and know that and imply that.
Yeah.
And everyday magic is about, we don't need to put it in the title. It is, the sacredness is in the way that we hold them.
I agree for some reason. I just viscerally, I get a yes, you're right, as
you're
usual.
Like, okay.
No, I mean, when I tune in, it's expansive what you're saying. I don't, And the next thing I wonder is, do you think everyday magic is sacredness? Are they the same thing? Like when you're being sacred, you have everyday magic. And when you're in the everyday magic, everything that happens is sacred.
Right.
I think there's something more there.
Right. And when we're in it's like what I was talking about, the turn on, right? That's then the everyday magic emerges.
Yeah. And the sacred certainly emerges.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Like a woman's unbridled sexuality by so many measures and texts and whatever would say like that's somehow bad, when it is the most beautiful, pure, guiding, expanding, nourishing, healthy, reverse aging, health giving.
Yeah.
It is the
exquisite.
Magic. Yeah.
Sacred.
Yeah. It is the most, that divine feminine, divine masculine, sexual energy might be the most sacred thing that creates everything.
And this is why it existed in the way that it did for so long.
Right.
Right. In the millennia of the world, how long have we been in patriarchy?
Right. We've been, I don't even know the number, but tens and thousands of years of goddess culture. And well, some people say 3, some people say 5. It began 12,000 years ago, patriarchy. It is like this much, it's like a veneer on the history of the depth of humanity. Yeah, we can remember.
Yes.
It's not as far.
We all have the codes in us to remember. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
It is in every single one of us, in our cells.
Yes.
And the more of us that talk about it,
celebrate it,
embrace own it,
explore it,
feel it in our body,
yeah,
the more that we are giving permission. It's like every single one gets the vibration and it passes. We create a symphony.
If I disappear for days or weeks
with your lover,
into a
pleasure partner,
into a bliss field of lovership with my pleasure partner.
Yes, I'll run the company. Don't worry.
That's what I was waiting for, and we're complete. It's on record.
Thanks, Goddess.
Thanks, Goddess. We're going to put that in the operating agreement.
Right. I'm sure it's in there.
We covered everything. All right.
All right.
Beautiful.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Thanks for being on the journey with us. We'd love to have you as part of the ongoing conversation. Join us on our socials at Sofanya Beauty and join our email community at sophanyabeauty.com. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.